Yo, yo. What's up, YouTube? It's BoxingWave. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Also hit the bell notification button so you can be notified whenever I drop new content. All right. We're going to discuss a lot. I want to get through a lot on this video here. I'm going to talk about a lot of things that's coming up this week. Well, the upcoming fight. I want to speak a little bit about last weekend fights. I did cover the Andrade fight last weekend, but I didn't cover the Fight TV Triller event with Jake Paul. So I didn't cover that fight. So I'm going to address that a little bit. What's up, Kano Local Sports, Carter Rivers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about Tony Harrison. We're going to talk about Jamal Charlo and Mark Breland. We're also going to talk about the upcoming fights this weekend on ESPN with Edgar Berlanga. All right. And also Emmanuel Navarrete against Christopher Diaz. All right. We're going to talk about all of that. All right. But we're going to go down the list. Shout out to my man, Kano Local Sports. Thank you for the donation, my brother. Appreciate it, man. All right. So let's get to it. Woke up this morning. I woke up this morning and I watched Mortal Kombat. Now, I know this is a boxing channel, but if you guys been here around a lot, for a little bit, I like to review movies every now and then. This was a movie that I've been really, really looking forward to. And, I woke up this morning. I wanted to wait. I wanted to go to the movies to watch it, but I couldn't help myself. I turned on HBO Max and I watched the movie. I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan. And I've always been, since my childhood, been playing that game since the original one in the arcades. Watched the movie this morning. Not going to give a deep thought on it, just real quick. And I'm not going to expose anything about the movie. All right. The movie was cool. I just feel, for some reason, that they haven't completely got it right yet. It was cool. I enjoyed the film. But I didn't watch it and think that I can't wait to see it again. I just thought it was cool. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. I was a lot more, I guess my expectations was a little high because of the trailers. There are certain characters that I like. I really enjoyed Sub-Zero. I thought Kano was very, very funny. I liked his character. I like Scorpion. I like how they show the story and everything. The backstory with that. There's certain. I don't want to get too much into it because I know it just dropped today, and I know most people haven't seen it yet. I like certain characters, and I dislike others. All right, I didn't like Raiden. I didn't like the new character, Cole. I didn't really like him. And then I didn't like the way certain people died or whatever. The thing is, I just feel like the fighting scenes were good, but I expected a little bit more. So I thought the movie was okay. On a scale from 1 to 10, I would give it like a 6.5, maybe a 7 at the most. At the very most, a 7. There were good scenes out of it. There were some ones that was like, It was okay to me. I'm not rushing to watch it again. All right. So hopefully they make another one and keep the story going, and it's a little better. I just wanted to speak on it a little bit before I get into boxing because I watched it this morning. I know a lot of people that are into that are probably watching it today or going to watch it this weekend. But it was decent. I'll get to Edgar Berlanga in a minute. Um, I'll talk about him soon. All right. He is fighting this weekend. Jesse Hart had made some comments and posted a video of him in his amateur days. All right. So I'll get to it. All right. But anyway, the movie 6.5, 7 out of 10. You know, maybe I'll do if people are requesting it in the comments, maybe I'll do a separate video reviewing the film thoroughly, like I have, and usually the comic book adapted films, other films that I'm really into. But I thought it was all right. You know, I thought it was okay. All right. All right. So before we move forward, let's just dip a little bit back into the weekend, this past weekend fights. Again, you guys know I did cover the Demetrius Andrade fight. But I haven't talked about Torley Harrison, and I haven't talked about the Fight TV thing and exhibitions. All right. Demetrius Andrade, tough fight for him. It was a pretty good fight. It was very entertaining. Liam Williams did give him a good challenge. I know some of the most read comments that I saw was what Canelo would have done to Demetrius Andrade if they were to fight each other. I think people like to just do that now. Like whenever anybody's name is connected to Canelo, whenever they have a fight, people like to just bring Canelo into it and what Canelo would do. And I don't know why people do that. It's usually just Canelo fanboys. I have a lot of respect for Canelo. You know, I think he's one of the best fighters in the game. And I think he's already a generational great, in my opinion. This is the thing, though. As much as I like Canelo, the Demetrius Andrade situation to me is you only had one more belt to become undisputed. So whenever Demetrius Andrade gets exposed and he doesn't look so good in a fight, we don't need a reminder of what Canelo would do to him if they were to actually fight, because they didn't actually fight. Canelo could have fought him at 154. He could have fought him at 160 for undisputed. There's no point in just talking about what Canelo would do to him. I believe Canelo can beat Andrade too. But it's not about that. It's about them never fighting. So I'm not the type to just keep talking about what these fighters would do if they were to be in a ring with each other. You know, Andrade's resume is really not that good. But at the end of the day, there was one point in time where Canelo had 3 titles and Andrade only had 1. And we were very close to getting undisputed, which Canelo happens to be going for right now at 168. What's up, D-Style? All right. So, again, if we're going to talk about Canelo every time a rival has a fight, let's just bring up that one fact. Okay. Thanks, D-Style, for the donation. Shout out to D-Style. Shout out to Kano Loco. All right. So, listen, Andrade, it was a tough fight for him. He did get hurt in the fight. There was moments where I think there are certain things that kind of got exposed with Andrade. I think Liam Williams, who's a guy that's not anywhere near as talented as Andrade, was able to do many things in that ring that night that really worked in his favor. He made it an ugly, rough, rugged fight. He was using elbows, shoulder bumps. You know, he's being real physical, leaning on him. He did what he could do. And sometimes it is what it is. Andrade won 9-3. Yeah, I had it around that. I think I scored it 9-3, maybe 8-4. I think I scored it 9-3, and I had a draw for one of those rounds. But it was a tough, rugged fight. And yeah, it might have exposed a few things with Andrade. I think Andrade really lacked the inside game. So if he were to fight a Canelo, maybe, you know, that would be Canelo's a huge advantage towards Andrade if they were to fight. But let's talk more about Jamal Charlo. which is more of a realistic fight, even though it might not ever happen either. But that's more of a realistic fight at this point because Canelo is at 168 right now and Charlo's at 160. And unless Charlo moves up to 168, I still don't see that fight happening at 168 at this point. I just don't see it. It's not really much interest. And it's really no reason to have it outside of fans like myself that always wanted to see it, But the fight that I really want to see is Andre and Charlo. All right. What's up, Chain? Shout out to everyone that's coming in. Smooth Will, Vitalage, Edna Lofton. What's up? Jimbo Slice, The Awoken One. Everyone that's here, man. Nostalgic. Everyone. Rob. All right. So look. Let's move it down. Tony Harrison. I seen his fight with Brian Perella. I didn't see it that night, but I saw it later the following day. And Tony Harrison lost the fight, in my opinion. I think what saved them in this fight from getting knocked out is the fact that Brian Perella is a guy that moved up from 147. He's not a big puncher at 154. All right. He's been fighting at 147 for quite some time. Has a few losses, got stopped before. But I think what saved Tony here was the fact that Brian really didn't pack that punch. Tony Harrison is actually kind of chinny, but you just goes to show that the experience that Harrison has with fighting some top fighters at 154 really saved them in this fight. We speaking about him a little bit last week, losing his father, coming off the loss to Jamal Charlo. Didn't really know how he would look in this fight. Kind of rusty. And he looked rusty. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Tony Harrison get hit that much throughout a fight. He's lost some fights. All right. We know that he lost his first fight to Willie Nelson when he got stopped at the very end. Nelson rallied late and was able to stop him. Jamel knocked him out recently. Hurd knocked him out too. But it is what it is. Tony didn't look good. And that's what happens, man. You coming off with real life hard losses, losing your pops who's always been in your corner and just being a little inactive, 2020. Everybody wasn't fighting in 2020, pretty much. All right. So coming off the knockout loss to Charlo, it's a little bit too much. And Brian Perella is a good boxer, man. You got a guy that is fighting at 154 for his first time, but maybe that played into advantage. Maybe he didn't have to worry about draining himself, and maybe he was just a better fighter, against a fighter that wasn't at his best. And that was the situation. He got a gift draw. I don't remember off top what I was scoring it, but it was clear that Perella, to me, won at least by a couple rounds, in my opinion. I thought the draw was pretty predictable. I didn't think they would give Tony a loss, but Perella pretty much beat him. All right, he caught Tony on a bad night. And for Tony moving forward, I would hope he's not going to try to get into another fight with a top guy right now. I think he needs to work on some things and he needs to get back in the ring as soon as possible and just keep doing what he has to do. Stay active, man. Get the rhythm going back before we get in there. Because some people were telling me last week they want to see him fight Jamal Charlo 3. When I did that video, basically give you my top 10 most desired fights, there was a lot of people that was saying that they wanted to see Tony Harrison fight Jamal Charlo for a third time. Based on that performance, I don't want to see him fight Charlo for a third time. I don't want to see him fight Hurd again. I don't want to see him fight J-Rock or Jason Rosario or Everson Lubin. I don't want to see none of them fights right now until he gets back in emotions. I want to see him looking sharp. Tony can't be a guy. Tony just doesn't look good against a southpaw. That could be it too. But Tony isn't the type of guy that can win a fight getting hit that much. And the thing is, it is the styles. I didn't really talk about that I didn't really talk about that, but this fight was two counter punchers waiting for the counter, and Tony's fought some good boxers, but he didn't fight anyone like Pereira's style. Like, he was a strictly counter puncher, and that's why the pacing and everything just wasn't right. This wasn't right for Tony. Tony ain't the type to really, really bring the pressure and bring the ass. He tried, but it cost him. And he got hit a lot more often than we're normally used to seeing him get hit. All right. So anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Triller and Fight TV. This Jake Paul thing, right? I didn't cover the fight, but I was watching a little bit of it the other night, last weekend, and I saw a good chunk of the Regis Prograis fight. I didn't see the Cunningham Frank Mir fight. I just didn't see a point in watching that fight. I didn't watch it. Frank Mir is long past. He's far past it as an MMA fighter. Cunningham is past it as a boxer, but he was I don't think he ever became, I'm not sure if he ever became champion, but he's always been a top contender both at the cruiserweight and the heavyweight division. All right. He's not nearly as far past it as Frank Mir is as an MMA fighter. So you got Cunningham, who's a well-experienced boxer. All right. My favorite moment of Cunningham's career is when he knocked down Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury was doing too much in the ring that night, and Cunningham landed a huge overhand right early in that fight. All right. He got stopped in that fight, but it was a great fight. It was a great fight. That was my favorite moment. He had a couple of close fights in there that I thought he could have got the decision in, but Cunningham had a very good boxing career, and he's always been a fit guy. He's still in shape. He still looks good. All right. What's up, Loke, man? What's up, Cleon? So I didn't watch that. So I saw the Regis Prograis thing against Ivan Redcash, and that ended up being a joke. That's not Regis Prograis' fault. He was winning every round easily, which most of us expected. I was hoping for a real knockout. I was hoping we got that out of him, because we know that Danny fought Ivan Redcash not too long ago. And if Regis Prograis was to really destroy him, that would have been a good statement. But we got robbed of that because of the fake low blow that ended up being like a whole controversial thing. But I think they went back and they changed it over to a TKO or whatever, which is good. All right, so it was a drama in that. Now, Jake Paul against Ben Askren. I saw the knockout. A lot of people said that he took a dive. I think he really just knocked this guy out. Ben Askren clearly didn't train for the fight. All right, he's very, very overweight. He looked exactly the same on fight night as he did when they announced the fight. So I don't know if he was even preparing. He's not a boxer. He's not a striker as an MMA. The little bit that I saw, he's a wrestler. So he wasn't considered a striker when he was still actively fighting in the MMA. So Jake Paul, whether you think he's a good professional fighter or not, he has good enough experience to knock out the average person that doesn't box. If you get what I'm saying. When he knocked out Nate Robinson, I was not surprised at all. But it is what it is, man. And I see a lot of boxing fans getting angry about this exhibition thing. The guys as celebrities and these YouTubers doing what they're doing. At the end of the day, this always been a thing. Celebrity boxing and exhibition matches been around for generations at this point. I don't see how it's really directly affecting boxing. Okay? Especially when boxers that are not as famous are on the undercard of these cards. I mean, just look at it. Adrian Broner, right? I feel like I'll be going a little too hard on Broner sometimes. I really try not to, but I think he's a perfect example out of a lot of situations, right? Adrian Broner, to me, is a celebrity that boxes at this point. Like, he's not a real contender at this point. And he hasn't been for a while. He wins little baby fights in between. And then a top fighter like a Mikey Garcia or a Manny Pacquiao will jump in the ring with Adrian Broner. When Manny Pacquiao fought Adrian Broner, outside of Broner's celebrity, outside of people wanting to see him get beat up, there was really no cause of that fight. Why did we get that fight? You know what I'm saying? We got the fight, and people still want to fight Broner. People still want the fight. You know why? Because of Broner's celebrity. People are going to tune in. People are just going to tune in. I know a lot of people didn't tune in his last fight, his comeback fight, but people are probably at this point tired of him. But at some point, that is going to be Broner. Broner is going to be fighting one of these celebrities at some point. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe not right this moment, but one of these guys are going to end up fighting Broner. You know? A real boxer would knock Jake Paul out. Of course they would. Of course they would. But Jake Paul is not fighting real boxers. But people are tuning in. What did they get? Like 1.5 million pay-per-views? Is that number legit? Like, all I know is that Andre fought that night. Harrison fought that night. Yet the next day, no one talked about those guys. Everybody was talking about Jake Paul. Everyone was talking about Jake Paul. It's not really affecting boxing in any way. I think people are upset because he's getting a lot more attention. But if any celebrity chose to box, the same thing would happen. If The Rock decided, like, I'm going to do a celebrity, and maybe The Rock is not the best example because he's an A-list celebrity. All right. But let's say, I don't know, Michael B. Jordan. All right. Michael B. Jordan said, you know what? I want to prove to the world that I can really box. I'm not just no actor. I'm going to fight one of these other guys. I'm going to fight me an MMA fighter, or I'm going to fight up a washed up boxer who just doesn't have it anymore, and I have a good chance of beating him. People are going to tune in. People are going to buy it. You know, it's a Saturday night. You want to invite a few friends over. You want to have a good time, have some drinks, order some food, get some pizza, some wings, or go to a spot. You know, I mean, we're still social distancing, so it's not going to be too flooded, but you guys get what I'm saying. Here's what it is. Yeah. Mexican supremacists. Mexican supremacists, that's your name? Okay. We've been having that for years. Shaq for Oscar and Shane Mosley. Absolutely. We've been getting it for years. You know? We've been getting it for years. And now Floyd is piggybacking off Jake Paul's celebrity and fighting Logan Paul. There's most people. Someone send me a link of Jake Paul. No, I'm sorry, of Logan Paul and Floyd fighting. Right? Send me a link. Like, yo, look at this. Like, I don't know already, but yeah, I'm looking at it, and that person don't even realize that Logan Paul is the brother of Jake Paul. They think that's Logan Paul. I mean, they think Logan Paul is Jake Paul because we just saw Jake Paul knock out Ben Askren. We just saw Jake Paul knock out Nate Robinson. You know what I'm saying? So it's always going to be a thing. And as a boxing fan, I'm not concerned with it. Because as a boxing fan, as long as I'm getting the fights that I want in the sport that I love, that's high priority for me. All these other fights, it doesn't really concern me. It really doesn't. I didn't cover it because it just wasn't a priority for me. I'm sure kind of got a lot of traffic to the channel, a lot of views. It did get a lot of views. People that are MMA guys probably watched the fight. People that are just into having something to do probably wanted to watch the fight, but I really don't think we should dig too deep into these exhibitions. The money is always going to be there, and there's more money in boxing than it is in MMA. It is what it is. People are more willing to pay for these fights. This is why Cotto and Marquez are coming back. This is why Shannon Briggs and James Toney are trying to build up a potential fight between each other. They're doing it because the money is always going to be there. And this has been happening for generations. It's just that now, the only difference is now we have social media to pump the fights up. All right? So I personally don't have a problem with Triller and Fight TV. And I honestly believe that at some point, well, we're already getting it. But at some point, a lot of these boxers are going to be on those cards, because they're bringing something else. It's a party. You hear Snoop Dogg? I didn't listen to Oscar De La Hoya, but I remember listening to a lot of people saying that he was like, let me just say he wasn't sober. So, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But I think more boxers are going to be more willing to want to fight on that card, because they're giving us something. They're not giving us the traditional, let's say, commentary and stuff. You got other guys that's giving up commentary and making it more entertaining. Yeah, it seems silly. It seems a little bit like wrestling to me, but it's entertainment, and people are paying to watch it. Jake Paul is bringing people behind him, and he's disrespecting people leading up. He's doing exactly what boxers are doing too. He's calling out all of these boxers. He's being disrespectful to other boxers or other celebrities or whatever, just to build his name. Disrespecting Conor McGregor, talking about him and his wife and his family. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. So what's up, boxingologists? Yeah, I didn't do an actual post, but I did speak about it in this video here. I did speak about it a little bit earlier about Andrade and Williams, and what I see Andrade doing moving forward. I basically think that Andrade should just, if he's gonna fight, if he wants the bigger challenges, he's definitely got to move up to 168. Hopefully, maybe they can try to find a way to get Charlo in there with him. But it's not many options, man. All right. I did speak on Mortal Kombat a little bit. If you guys are just, I did speak on Mortal Kombat. It was good. I give it around a 7 out of 10 tops. It was good. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was okay to me. All right. It was okay. All right. All right. So let's talk about Jamal Charlo against, there was a picture that he posted on his social media, his Instagram. And he was with his coach, and he was with Mark Breland. All right. Basically, like, Mark Breland is part of the team. Eventually, he retracted the statement saying that Mark Breland's not coach. Him and what's his coach name? I can't think of his name. Oh God, how do I forget his name right now? So basically, Jamal Charlo's coach and Mark Breland has had a relationship for years. They're friends. And Jamal Charlo basically said he knew him since he was 10 years old. I see everybody went crazy. Ronnie Shields. Basically, everybody on the internet went nuts and took it as a slight at Deontay Wilder. This is the way I see it. I don't think Jamal Charlo needs to apologize for anything. I think Mark Breland is still going to be getting jobs as a coach, as he should. All right. with his pedigree and his experience. Just because it didn't work out with Wilder doesn't mean that no one should have him near him again. It wasn't proven that he spiked his drink or anything like that. I know these people on YouTube did a million videos last year talking about, you know, the glove gate, the spike water gate, the horseshoe in his glove, or all those other things, you know, dented it in his head. And all this Wilder stuff last year was just what everybody did last year on YouTube, you know. But Mark Breland, and I've said this before, Mark Breland and Deontay Wilder never had the greatest chemistry. I remember listening to previous Mark Breland interviews before all of this stuff went down with Wilder, saying that Wilder doesn't really listen to him, you know. JD's is his like head coach, and you know, Mark Breland is there, but he is not the main coach there. I don't think they ever really had great chemistry. All right. Just because they didn't have great chemistry and things didn't work out for Breland, between Breland and Wilder, doesn't mean that no other boxer should work with him. You know, if Jamal Charlo wants to work with him, that's his business. That's his business. You know, so I don't see what is a big deal. It doesn't mean that he's dissing Deontay Wilder. I was actually surprised that he came back and said that, you know, Wilder, you know, don't you ignore the bullshit. That's what he basically said. But if you're Jamal Charlo, you know, taking that picture and posting it, you know the backlash is going to come because a lot of Jamal Charlo supporters, let's be real, are Deontay Wilder supporters, right? They're both black fighters, black American fighters. They're both PBC, all right? A lot of Canelo supporters hate Jamal Charlo. A lot of Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua supporters hate Deontay Wilder, all right? Dillian White, whoever. So at the end of the day, we already know who supports who in this. Right? We could be honest about that. You know, posting that picture are going to get people rattled. So if you're going to post a picture, post it and let it fly. Really don't have to respond to people that's angry about it. I've seen some in the comments. I read a few of them. Yeah, I don't really support this. I don't really support that. You know, I ain't rocking with this dude. This guy's gonna spike your water. And then you had the other people that was like, Mark Breland is a great coach. You know, he's Olympic gold medalist, yada, yada, yada. It's good to have on your team. So some people were positive and a lot of people were negative. It is what it is. But once you post that picture, you know what kind of attention it's going to bring. So I'm not saying don't post it. But if you are going to post it, accept what comes with it. You just got to accept what comes with it. And nothing more. I just saying I wouldn't have apologized for shit. I would have just posted it and be like, yo, take it. How you feeling? Even if he's not your trainer, whether he's training you or maybe just supporting or maybe just going to be on the side with Ronnie Shields, whatever you decide to do in this situation, that's your decision. It's your social media. It's a picture. You wanted to post it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's it. You know, Charlo, he's been with Ronnie for a long time. You know, Jamel left and went with Derek James. But they both were with Ronnie Shields and Lara as well, right? The three of them were all under Ronnie Shields. You've been with Ronnie Shields for a long time. So maybe, hey, maybe you want to work on a few things. Maybe we know what Jamal Charlo can do. We know what he's great at doing. He has a great jab. He has a great 1-2. Are there things that he can work on? Yeah. Improve on? Yeah. So if you want to bring somebody new part of your team and work on those things before you get into these, we don't know who Charlo is going to eventually fight. You know, a lot of people has been slandering him because he pretty much has that worst fight on that Showtime, the Showtime lineup schedule fights that's coming up. He has the worst one. So if you want to work on things, bring some people into your camp, that's your business. You don't have to address anyone. You don't have to address Wilder. You don't have to address his fans. If you knew him since 10 years old, your relationship with Mark Breland should be the same. You know, I don't know. I don't know if that's what people saying. I seen the only reason why I'm addressing this because I looked on my YouTube timeline. I see that everybody made a video about it. I didn't click on one because I think like logically, like, yo, if you really knew the guy since he was 10 years old, I don't see why there's a problem. And I don't see why there's a need to apologize or just even respond to the haters. All right. All right, so let's talk about the fights coming up this weekend. We got Emmanuel Navarrete fighting Christopher Diaz, which is a fight I really like. I really like Christopher Diaz at 126. Navarrete has recently moved up. He won his first fight up at 126 against Ruben Villa, all right, which was a good fight, undefeated fighter, a good boxer. It was actually making Navarrete look a little clumsy early in that fight, all right? But Navarrete ended up finishing pretty strong in that fight. And then on the undercard, you got Edgar Berlanga, all right? Who has been in some of the reports recently because it's Jesse Hart. Jesse Hart recently came out and said that he would love to take the fight against Edgar Berlanga. I keep saying Berlanga, so pardon me. I keep saying Berlanga. I keep saying Berlanga. When I look at his name, I see Berlanga, but I was told that Berlanga is the correct way of saying it. All right. Jesse Hart recently came out and said, I want to fight this guy. I can knock him out. He has no chin. And basically, you know, I guess he posted a video of him, one of his amateur videos. All right, now this is not new. This is not new. These videos have been up. And I see that as soon as Berlanga got popular, a lot of his old people are started going back and digging up other stuff, sparring sessions, you know, the amateurs and stuff. This is what people do. This is how people do things. All right. I personally don't like it. Yeah, I would like to see what some of these fighters did in the amateurs and what, you know, how some of the sparring fights go, especially when they have some kind of drama and some back and forth with some other fighter or trainer or camp. I like to see these things. I do want to see it, but I think it's corny when people just post it, you know? I think it's corny, and I know why it's happening. Berlanga is getting a celebrity. His celebrityism is growing really fast. I heard that his fight tomorrow, he's supposed to be bringing Lil Wayne out. Like, that's big, you know. That's big. So if you go to his social media, you see him with all of these A-list celebrities already, and people are not feeling that. They're not feeling it because there's guys like a Jesse Hart who's been around a lot longer, who's been putting in his work, and they feel a certain way. Well, that's jealousy. That's what we call jealousy. Listen, if Berlanga is overrated, it will come. But if he's legit and he's a future top fighter, it will come. Let it all play out. Why are people trying to step in and like, let's show the Erickson Lubin sparring session where he was getting beat up by a smaller guy? Or let's show when he got knocked out as an amateur. There's a few amateur videos out there. I've seen them. So what? First of all, most of them are old. All right, but listen, if Berlanga is overrated, and he might be, let it play out. You know, I mean, Jesse Hart, you know, for a guy that I actually like Jesse Hart. I don't have no, you know, I've covered his fights on here. I like Jesse Hart. I've been following his career for a long time. I don't have nothing against Jesse Hart, but at the times where he really needed to step up, he really didn't to me. You know, for him to be the guy that's doing all this talking, you know, you did a lot leading to that Joe Smith Jr. fight. You did a lot. You said a lot. You was doing a little too much. By the time you got in the ring with him, you ran the entire fight. Damn, Charles Edward Cheese. Thank you for the donation, man. Always. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Damn, just popped up with it. Thank you. Yeah. Joe Smith Jr. and Jesse Hart was ridiculous. He had the executioner thing. You know, you from Philly. You repping for Bernard Hopkins. We know what happened with Bernard Hopkins and Joe Smith Jr. You did all that talking and ran the entire fight. Even against Zerto. Anytime Zerto caught you clean, you got rocked. Yeah, you want to talk about the new guy coming up and hate on him. You're strictly hating. This is hold on. Let me make something clear. Again, I have nothing against Jesse Hart. I love Jesse Hart. I love Philly. I love everything that they're doing. I love the fighters, but this is not no New York bias talk. But at the end of the day, you're not the guy that should be doing all that talking. He's just not the guy to do that all that talk. He's not him. It shouldn't be coming from anyone. But if people want to challenge him, that's cool. That's what the sport is about. You should want to take these challenges. And I can see why it's going to happen. It's going to keep happening. There's going to be other fighters that's going to come out and say, yo, I want to fight this kid, Edgar, because I want to expose him. Maybe he does. Maybe he is really chinny. We will find out. Excuse me. But I can see a hater from a mile away. I see a hater from a mile away. Like, I see you. He's getting all this attention. He's with all these celebrities. All right? He got guys. He got Lil Wayne going to be walking him out in a pandemic. They're not even in a fully loaded crowd. So I see the hate. And it's corny. Whoever posted the Erickson Lubin thing is corny too. He's probably gotten better. Since these fights, these sparring sessions. Maybe he did. But if he didn't and he gets exposed, just let him get exposed. Why are you trying to throw out old footage by exposing him? Listen, me personally, and shout out to Kano Loco. Shout out to Kano Loco because he's been talking about Berlanga and all that for a long time. Like I've said before in previous videos, I think he definitely needs to step up in his opposition because I want to see him go rounds. All right, you proven you can knock out 16, 17 guys in a row. Cool. And for the first round, too, on top of that. Cool. I do want to see him box. I want to see him win rounds. I want to see how he looks late in the fight. Can he go 10, 12 rounds in a fight? All right. I want to see him fight different type of fighters. I want to see him improve. I feel like at this point, these type of fighters that he's been facing are not really making him better. See, a guy like a Liam Williams, like I was just talking about him and Andre. A guy like Liam Williams will make a fighter better. Because he's doing something that you're not used to have done to you. Andre, I've been watching him his entire pro career pretty much. And I've never seen him fight a real rough, rugged fighter. So certain fighters just don't know what to do in those situations. Guys are more talented than Sean Porter. But Sean Porter, his style, it doesn't work for everybody. Some guys can handle it. Kell Brook or your Dennis Ogox. Those guys was able to control Porter to a certain extent. Whereas other fighters just didn't really know what to do, how to deal with him, you know? So I feel like Berlanga, I want to see him just fight some guys that's not top tier fighters at 168, but just beneath those guys. That's all I want to see. That's all I want to see. I want to see him improve in the ring. I'm not seeing improvement. I don't know if he's an improvement or not. I don't know. I got to go by what people say. We all do, because we don't know. We really don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna send my guy Kano Loco in. Give me a second. All right, so yeah, so that's pretty much how I feel about Berlanga. I don't want to see him fight Benavidez right now. I personally don't want to see that fight right now. I just don't want to see it, because I don't want it to be too soon.
Hey, what's going on, BoxingWave?
What's up, bro? How you been?
Yeah, man, I've been doing good, man. Listen, I wanted to go ahead and address a little bit, if you don't mind, on the Berlanga. Yeah. I want to go ahead and clear some stuff up because, look, I like Berlanga. I believe in him. He's very talented. He started out as a boxer. Like, I known him since he was a little kid. So this is just an unbiased truth, okay? Right now, at this point in his career, he's being a little bit too flashy. He's letting the limelight get to his head, and that's kind of like worrying me a little bit that he's not going to stay focused in the boxing game,
Yeah.
That's my big worry with him. Now, as for the Lubin footage, he had already sparred 3 other boxers before Lubin stepped in, and Lubin was fresh coming in, and Berlanga had already sparred a whole bunch of rounds. So
right, I did hear that. Yep.
And that's why it's kind of unfair. Look, I like the kid a lot. I believe in him, but I got to keep it real and I got to be honest about it. Those are the little concerns that I have about him. Now, as far as his boxing skills, I know he can box because he grew up boxing. He was boxing his whole life. And he was never a knockout artist like a lot of people see him now. They know him as the knockout artist because they didn't follow him since he was a young guy, since he was a little kid coming up in the ranks. Well, as soon as he turned pro and he realized he has that power, he's knocking people out. He does try to set up a jab. I don't know how much footage you watch, but when he initially starts, he tries to set up a jab and he tries to set up his game first. It's just that when he lands the punch, they go down, and what can you do? They don't pay you for overtime anyway.
Right.
What bothers me about that is that I'm praying to God that he doesn't get enamored with the power to the point where he starts neglecting the boxing skills he does have in his toolbox.
Right.
Because I've seen fighters do that before.
Agree.
So
I agree.
That's just being fair down the middle. I don't think Demond Nicholson is no cab driver like a lot of people say. That kind of irritates me because, look, man, the guy Demond Nicholson, he's a fighter. He's not no scrub. Is it the best opponent they could have got for him? No, it's not the best opponent they could have got for him, but it's what was available. And for those of y'all don't know, that fight was offered to Nicholson 3 other times, and he just finally accepted because the money was finally right. And that's the issue he gets when he's trying to get these other opponents that people want him to fight. It's the same issue. The money's never right, so the fights never happen. He has tried to get other fights. Now, to be fair, BoxingWave, I don't know if the Berlanga team was lowballing dumb or if they were just being greedy and didn't want, to take the good money. I don't know, so I don't want to speak on that because that would be irresponsible of me. But there have been negotiations to fight better opposition, and they never agreed on the money.
When you say better opposition, where are you going? Because a lot of things, first of all, a lot of things you said, I did do a video maybe a few months back because everybody was talking about, I think maybe it was around the time he fought Lubin, or maybe it was after one of his knockouts. And I was afraid of the same thing that you're saying, because I'm afraid of I have a friend, personal friend of mine. You know, he's blowing up to be a big chef here in New York. And I see Berlanga, him hanging out now. That's a friend of mine. And I see the flashiness. I see him on Instagram. I see it. And I'm glad he's enjoying his life. But I am worried because we see this story. We see this story so many times. So I'm just hoping it's not that story. Like, yo,
right.
You doing good. But you could still, there's so much more work that you can do before, like the celebrity and the attention you're getting, that's great. But it could still be so much bigger than what it is. And hopefully he doesn't lose focus. And that's what I'm worried about too. You know, now when you say better opposition, where do you think he should be fighting right now? Like what level of fighters you think right now?
Gabe Rosado.
I think Gabe is cool.
Maybe a David Morrell who's got the regular WBA. He's only got like 4 or 5 fights and he's got the regular WBA. Why not go for that?
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't know how much you've watched of David Morrell, but that's logical to me.
Yeah, I've seen a fight before.
You know,
I think those are both cool. I think at the very most, and there's people. Let me pull up Boxer because I actually wanted to go down a list and see like who's ranked and where, and you know who I'm familiar with, who fought who in the past. Gabe Rosado is great. Morrell is great too. That's cool. I think both of those fights are good. You know, I don't want the super elite though. Like a lot of people, and that's what people do. They go straight to the top when they want to say like, all right, if you're saying Berlanga is overrated, don't throw names like Canelo at me. Don't throw names like Benavidez at me. And people say Benavidez, oh, they're the same age. Yeah, but Benavidez pretty much started as a bro as a kid. He started as a pro much earlier, and he's been fighting better fighters. You know, now some of the people that Benavidez beat, like Porky or some of those guys, maybe Berlanga should be in the ring with. He shouldn't. Don't say he's overrated and then say, well, he should be fighting. Canelo will destroy him, or Benavidez will destroy him, you know, or whoever else is at the division. No, he should not be fighting them yet.
I give you another name, man, that's around the same amount of fights that he is. Kevin Newman. That'd be a decent fight, man. Stylistically, they match up really. That would be a fireworks fight. Just because of the way their styles match up. I know a lot of people probably don't know who Kevin Newman is, but I'm just such a boxing head. And by the way, the guy who trained Edgar Berlanga when he was a kid is a good friend of mine named Eric Roman Sr. He stays down close to you. He's in Brooklyn. And he's actually got a son, man, that he's training now that's doing well. I mean, he's still an amateur, but Eric Roman Jr., he's probably going to be a problem coming up, man.
Right. Okay. I mean, listen, man, I don't know, man. I mean, if they were to throw, let me ask you something. If they were to say, you know what,
Darrell,
we're gonna throw him in there with Jesse Hart, would you think that'd be too much?
You asking the wrong person, man, because I tell you the what, you know, you already know I'm out of the game now, but my philosophy was
wait,
sink or swim.
You want me to answer the question first? And then you
sink or swim is my opinion, man. You know, you're not gonna listen. The quicker we get out of this first round junk, the better for him. Okay. So if you throw him in there with something, win, lose, or draw, I don't think it's gonna end his career. Sink or swim. Miguel Cotto does the same thing with his fighters. He puts him in there with opposition to see if he's gonna waste his time with a boxer or not. If he passes the test, then we know you're the goods. If not, then I ain't gonna waste my time with you no more. But that's just my philosophy. I'm an old school person.
I hear you, but I think Jesse is a little too fast. Like not fast in the ring. I just think it's I wouldn't risk it this early, and I wouldn't risk Darrell too early. I think maybe in a year, depending on the next few fights, then fine, but not right now. So not this soon. You know, I just think that would be too huge of a jump. Now, I mean, if he's as good as what people say he is, like yourself, then he should beat these guys. But we really don't know. We really don't know. And what it happens if he does get touched early, you know, and then what happens? He gets exposed. Will he ever be the same? You know, some guys can bounce back. Like, I don't care for people losing. I care about people losing early and never being able to recover from it because they moved up too fast.
You know my opinion on that. If they can't recover from it, they were never going to be a great, because the greats can recover from a loss and come on back up the ladder. And to answer the question, no, I've never met Miguel Cotto. I'm in my 50s. I was more in the era where I was hanging around Hector Camacho, Tito Trinidad, John Molina, those folks over there. Pinklin Thomas lives down the road from me. Nate Campbell lives down the road from me. And by the way, yes, I'm going to be at the fights tomorrow. I'm going to be over there ringside. I know everybody that's fighting on that card.
Is out in Florida tomorrow?
Yeah, kissing me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I know most of these guys, and that's why I was trying to tell one of your persons in the chat that I'm around all these Puerto Rican boxers, like personally on a personal level. I know Pitufo Diaz, I know Orlando Gonzalez, I know all of them fighters, and I've been around them. And that's why when I say something, I'm saying it from the bottom of my heart. It's not a hateful thing. It's just something that worries me. And I hope that I'm wrong about it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when I see somebody being a little too flashy and stuff like that, I worry, because I've seen this movie before with other fighters. Felix Verdejo is a perfect example of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I agree. I'm worried about the same thing. Ashley, I said I'm reading your comments. When I say it's too much, I don't mean that Berlanga don't have a chance of beating Jesse Hart. All right. Jesse Hart has proven it's been proven that he's kind of chinny. And if anybody can knock him out, if he gets touched by Berlanga, we might literally see Jesse Hart talk a lot now and then get in the ring with Berlanga and run around the ring from Berlanga like he did against Joe Smith, like he did against Zerto. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that he doesn't have a chance. Who else he fought? Who else did Jesse fought? Did he fight Sullivan Barrera? Or did they fight each other?
Man, you know I'm an old man. You got me over here. My brain was frying a little bit.
Jesse Hart fought someone else too. That,
by the way, I want to reverse on something right there, because before the Perella and Tony Harrison fight, I said it was gonna look ugly like this. I knew it was gonna look ugly like this.
Yeah.
I try to warn people. I try to walk people off the ledge. I said, look, whether it was a draw or not, I'm not going to argue that point, but plenty of folks heard me say, look, Perella's a type of fighter that no matter how good you are, he's going to make you look bad. And he did just that. He makes everybody look bad. It's almost, look, he's not as good as Sean Porter, but Sean Porter makes everybody look bad too. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
When you get into a fight with somebody like that, it's going to look ugly. And I don't think he should have fought him at this moment, because he had just came off of losing his father, long layoff and all.
Right.
I don't know if his mind was all the way in there, but I don't think that it exposed Harrison. It's just the opponent and the style that he has makes people look bad. So that's all I got on that. I'll let you come back forward to the Berlanga issue, man. I just had to get that off because I heard you talking about it earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I do think the styles had to do some with it because of the way they were fighting. I noticed that both of them was kind of pausing, waiting for the other one to go. You know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? They're just frozen, you know. And I just think Perella let his hands go a little bit more, you know, and he hit and he landed a lot more to me, you know. So but yeah, I get what you're saying. I haven't really. I think I did check his stuff out like right before the fight, so I had an idea who Tony Harrison was fighting, and I think I might have seen him in the past before, but I wasn't that familiar with him, you know. But yeah, you know, I don't know. Maybe Tony Harrison. I still think that before he gets in there with another top fight at 154, I think he just needs like, yo, He talk to Al, talk to whoever he got to talk to. Like, yo, throw me in there with somebody else right away. I gotta get it back. I gotta get it back.
That much I do agree with you. I was just
Yeah.
trying to explain why that fight looked like that. I expected it, and people thought I was crazy when I said it. Oh man, Harrison gonna wash him. I'm like, no, he's not.
Yeah,
no, he's not. And
out of all the up and coming young Puerto Rican fighters, some of them going to be on this card, on the undercard. Who do you think has the most potential to be great out of all these young undefeated prospects? Who do you think has got the most potential so far to be the next big thing? Not, I don't want to say big. I'm just talking about skills. We talking about skills. What do you see the most in all of these young guys coming up?
I'm gonna give you two names. One of them everybody's gonna know. One of them nobody's gonna know. Maybe you will. Okay. Xander Sayas, I like.
Okay.
I think he's got everything that it takes to become a great.
Okay.
He trains with high level competition all the time. He's very focused, very dedicated. Shoot, I mean, he's an adult and he still listens to his parents. When his parents tell him he's got to be in by such a time, guess what? He's in by that time.
How old is he?
18.
Okay. When you say he was an adult, you know what?
Well, in the US, like, 18 is an adult, but you know how most kids at 18 they want to go wild and do their own thing. Not him. He's very, very respectful and listens to his parents and all that stuff. The second name I'm going to give you is Orlando Gonzalez at 126 pounds. And a lot of people might not know who he is. He's actually fighting in the card tomorrow night. So y'all go check him out and y'all know who I'm talking about. I like him because I think he's on the borderline of becoming a contender. He's still a prospect, but I think after this next fight or two, he should be in contention.
He's sticking at 126 though.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't get to the talk too much about the Navarrete Diaz fight. I don't know about you, but I think 126 has been like a pit stop for boxers over the years. I don't understand why there's no unifications. Guys move up that came from 122 kind of to stop that 126 for a minute, then eventually go on to 130 or going back down to 122. 126 over the last few years has, Gary Russell doesn't unify. He just fights once a year, just defends his title, fights a mandatory. Navarrete moved up and he's staying active, which I love. This fight with Christopher Diaz should be good. I like Christopher Diaz. I think we were recently talking about Christopher Diaz. The only thing we was talking about Shakur Stevenson, which was a good fight. You have who else is there? Joey Gonzalez is already saying that he's interested in fighting Navarrete if he is to win. What do you think about this division? Like, do you think that? I mean, I don't know what to really say about this division. Is Leo Santa Cruz going to stay at 130? Is he going to come back down? I think if him and Navarrete fight, that'd be a good like Mexican clash or something like that. But I really don't know with these guys at 126. It just really seems like a pit stop to me. No one really fights. We don't get the best matches here. Frampton and Leo fought each other at 126, but these are guys that was at 122. Right. Lomachenko was there. He did his thing, but he eventually moved up. I don't know. What do you think?
Man, I actually got the 10-1 underdog, man, for the upset tomorrow. I believe Pitufo Diaz is going to win.
Yeah.
I do. I'm not
highly sold on Navarrete, by the way. I'm just not. I think
I just see, how do I explain it, man, where it doesn't come off like, just so you know, it's not a Puerto Rican thing. I think Joseph Adorno is going to be the one that loses tomorrow out of the Puerto Ricans. Jermaine Ortiz is a very dedicated boxer. I think he beats Joseph Adorno.
Okay.
I just see that this 10-1 underdog is like way too spread. Okay. Taller. Navarrete is taller, but he's not the bigger fighter going into this fight. This is the biggest opponent Navarrete is going to face. He's not going to be able to bully and pressure Christopher Diaz the way he's normally accustomed to doing other boxers.
Yeah, like against Dogbe, against Leo in the last fight. Leo was boxing good. he didn't have the power to keep him
Right.
off, you know. But I like it. It made he kind of, to me, because I think I covered it live. I think he kind of made Navarrete look, a little. It didn't make him look too good, Even with the loss and everything, he still kind of not made him look too good. And I think Christopher Diaz has a much better chance. I think he does have a good chance of exposing him. I'm actually rooting for Diaz kind of.
And he take a punch. That's the other thing. Yeah. It's not like you're gonna, I've heard a lot of people predict Diaz is gonna get knocked out. I don't see it.
Yeah,
I don't see it. He's got a good chin, man. He's gonna keep coming. Yeah. I just think he's a better boxer. Maybe he's not the harder puncher, but he's the better boxer. Yeah. I think his skills are gonna propel him to a victory. And you got to understand too that when I'm breaking this down, Navarrete has a habit of giving up the early rounds.
Mm-hmm.
He gives up early rounds to Pitufo Diaz. Pitufo Diaz is going to stay boxing him.
Yeah.
And put a lot of rounds in his back pocket. I see him winning by unanimous decision.
Okay. Do you think he has the power to keep him off of him, though? For how long can he do it for, I'm thinking like you. I think Diaz is going to start off better early. He's going to be using his counters. I mean, he's a better boxer. He's a better mover. He's going to do what he has to do. It's just that if he can't hurt Navarrete, and Navarrete just keeps on pushing to the second half of this fight, I think it could be one of those fights where we might have a little controversy at the end. That's what I'm thinking.
Plus, you got to remember, man, Pitufo Diaz is going to have that home crowd. That place is going to be 90% Puerto Rican. I'm telling you, that does help a fighter, man. Yeah, does give him that extra adrenaline. Does he have that one punch KO power? No.
Yeah.
What he has is that get back punch.
Yeah.
Do I have to explain what that is, or you know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it'll hit you. You got to think a couple of times, man, before you walk back in. Type of punch.
Yeah,
it's not one that's gonna.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean by does he have the power? Those shots you don't see covering. They might not be the most powerful, but it'll be like, damn, I don't want to get hit by that. Now you're hesitant before you going in. If he can do that, that's part of slowing him down. Not slowing him down by stamina, but making the guy think like, yo, I don't want to go in there and get hit with that again. Because I didn't even see it,
I don't see how that's a 10-1 fight though. Like, dang, I'm like
10-1 is too far. It's too much.
I was like, man, I'm looking at this whole match. I'm looking at the film and I'm looking how these two styles match up and taking all these other things. I'm like, man, I don't see a 10-1 at all.
Yeah. Got you.
That's which he doesn't care about that anyway, man. But.
Right.
They're over here texting me over there from the hotel because I know all these boxers that are fighting tomorrow. They're asking me because I was supposed to leave today, but I blew my back out, man, a couple of days ago, and I decided to rest up. That way, I'll leave early tomorrow morning. I'll meet them at the hotel and we just kick it before we go to the fights and stuff.
Yeah. Man, I hope you have a good time out there, man. I haven't gone to a fight since 2019. I haven't gone to a fight since Jamal Charlo against Dennis Hogan in December of 2019. So I miss going to fights. Hopefully I'll get to go. I mean, they're not really doing them in New York like that yet, but hopefully I get to go soon because I miss going to the cards and watching these fights live and stuff. What do you think? I was talking about it a little earlier. What do you think of the whole what do you think of this Triller and Fight TV and these exhibitions, and what's your thoughts on all of that? Do you really care? Do you think it really affects the sport in a negative way? People don't really like it because I guess hardcore boxing fans just want, I guess we love the fighters and we want our fighters, the real fighters, to get the exposure that these guys are getting. And I think that's what really bothers us about these kind of fights. When you see this guy doing 1.5 million pay-per-views, and even Gennady Golovkin against Gennady Golovkin against Canelo didn't even do that much pay-per-view, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it. It really doesn't bother me. If I'm not interested, I just don't watch it, or I won't even cover it or as a boxing channel. I still won't even cover it, which I didn't.
Right. Neither did I.
Yeah.
But the reason I didn't is because, listen, man, I don't pocket watch. I can't hate on another man making their money. That's just my whole stance on life. If
I
Jake
agree.
Paul, Logan Paul, or whatever they're called, they found a loophole and found a way to make millions, man, I can't hate on that. But for those who don't like it, don't buy it, don't watch it. But then if you're not going to support that and not watch it, and you'll be the same people, and this is true boxing wave. Now, I'm telling the truth. When you get the real boxers fighting and they got a card, instead of people paying for the pay-per-view and supporting it, they stream it. So if you want to support boxing and you're streaming it, then you're not supporting them.
Absolutely.
So that's a double-edged sword right there. But as far as the Jake Paul and stuff like that, that's been talked about, by the way, Boxing Wave. That's on the screen. Hey, I already told him, man. Give me $500,000, I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it is this is not to toot no horn or nothing like that. He would not fight somebody like me because I've boxed before. Paul's whole thing is not to fight somebody who boxes or has boxing experience. He's going to fight somebody that hasn't boxed. That's his whole cash cow right there. So it doesn't matter what level I was at when I was coming up. I boxed. He's not going to fight somebody that can box.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not even mad at him for it. I'm like, look, why am I going to complain about it?
Yeah.
Plus, I'm in my 50s, man. Come on. Well, he might because I'm old, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think when he does do it, and I think he eventually will, I think he will fight someone where he has an obvious, clear advantage over because of their age or because of, I don't know. It's going to be some sort of advantage there where the outcome before the fight happens. Like, I can't believe that there were actually people in the MMA community that thought that Ben was going to win this one, which is
let me give you a different perspective on this. Let me give you this perspective on it. He is training with Jalen Love and a bunch of other pro boxers, Jake Paul.
Right.
So he's actually putting in the work and he's very disciplined. So he's learning as he's going, right?
Right.
Now, people who have 2 or 3 fights, do you remember who they fought? Do you remember who Floyd Mayweather fought when he fought his second fight? We don't. So according to what he's doing right now, it's no different than a prospect coming up. He is learning how to box. He is training in the boxing gym. He is sparring real boxers. So these first few fights to me don't bother me because it's not no different than what they're doing out here right now when you got these people who are 2-0, 3-0 fighting who? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you look at it that perspective. I mean, can you really be mad at it?
No. He's just, you're right. And for the boxing fans, the real hardcore ones, most of these fighters, and I said this before, most of these fighters today ain't even fighting people that should be fighting. I said this before, like, man, y'all drawing your attention on these guys that are not boxers and getting involved in exhibitions, and all these older fighters that's coming back, taking attention away. Oscar coming back, Cotto's coming back, Marquez coming back, all these guys coming back, James Toney, or whoever. At the end of the day, listen, man, if these guys were really doing what they're supposed to be doing, we wouldn't be focused on the outside. But they're not even doing that.
I was getting ready to say that. You got to blame the boxers themselves.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear blame Bob Arum, blame Al Heyman. No. You blame the boxer. They work for the boxer. I've been in the game before. When a boxer tells you, I want this fight, make it. Yeah. It's your job to make that fight.
Absolutely.
It is not your job to block a fight. It is your job to listen to what that boxer wants. So if these fighters really wanted to fight each other, they speak up and make these fights. Yeah. This is a soft generation right now because they're content with fighting. Like I said, I can't even be mad at them. I'm not mad at them, but I'm explaining why this sport is going the way it is.
It's a hustle. Let's be real.
It's a hustle, yeah. They're becoming more prize fighters, and they worry more about prize fighting than they are their legacy.
It's also, that's why a lot of these guys are coming in, especially at the heavyweights. They failed at something else first.
Yeah.
They failed at something else first. It's like, you know what? I'm a big guy. I got boxing to fall back on. Let me start. Let me get in there. You know,
Canelo's getting
few
what? At
people
least
out.
25 million. Canelo's getting at least 25 million a fight. Can you blame him? Man, bro, you give me 25 million. I'll fight a cab driver. I don't care. You paying me 25 million.
Yeah.
You see, they create this.
Yeah.
Then you can't get mad at it. But you know, you can't expect to have a legacy then. I'm not picking on him. Just use that as a general, you know, that certain fighters are getting a certain amount of money per fight. Let me rephrase it like that.
Right.
And if you're getting that kind of money, man, and you got that money guaranteed, you don't care who you fight. You're just like, man, give me, that's fine. That bum over there, I'll fight him. I'm laughing all the way to the bank. If I was boxing, shit, and I didn't care about my legacy, man, I'm gonna go get this money. Of course, I'm gonna go get this money. You got to look at it from both sides of the coin. Now, us boxing fans are the ones that suffer because we don't get to see the legacy fights. The Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns. You know, we don't get to see that. Ali Foreman,
they don't care
Ali
about
Frazier.
They care about the bag. They care about the bag and the bag alone. And they'll say what they have to say in the interview, you know, just to get people drawn into them and stuff. Like, yo, I want to make legacy. I want to collect all the belts. I want to, they say it, but at the end of the day, they don't really mean it. You know, it's just at the end of the day, it's just all about selling yourself. And if you can take a fight that's a little less dangerous or less dangerous, but it's going to earn you close to what you would be getting if you were to fight the most dangerous guy,
right?
Why take the risk? You know, I could make this money up fighting two easy guys over fighting that one big guy that everybody want to see me face. You know, that's the way it is, man. And
I think they're hustling backwards, though. In my opinion, man, I would try to shorten my career because sport, you know, the boxing sport is a real tough sport, man. Yeah. You know, I try to get the biggest fight that's going to give me the most money, even if it's the most dangerous fight. And I try to set myself up for good. Even if I win, lose, or draw. Hey, I don't have to stay in the sport. Let's say Terrence Crawford and Spence fight right now. You don't think that thing will do a lot of pay-per-views? They will both be set for life, man. Win, lose, or draw. They wouldn't even have to fight again if they didn't want to.
Yeah. Now I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. In certain situations, in certain fights, they would absolutely make a killing if they were to fight, which is that fight there. They would definitely make a killing, but you know, hopefully it happens. It can kind of still happen. It could really still happen, you know, and you know, if Bud is to stay undefeated and if Spence fights Ugas and he beats Ugas and he holds 3 titles, you know, it would make all the sense of the world that they do an undisputed fight, you know, if that works out that way.
Well, I've always been on record saying that I didn't mind that. I mean, if you can, I'm getting a little echo. Let me see if it's over here. I got this over here muted. Yeah, I do. It's got to be on your end. But anyway, if Terrence Crawford would have fought Ugas, I'd have been happy with it. Spence fights Ugas, I'm happy with it because it's a unification bout. And I've always been a big proponent of, look, let them not fight until it's for undisputed. So if Spence is fighting Ugas next, nobody should be mad at that because now they can negotiate the fight. And when they fight, it's going to be for undisputed. Wouldn't that fight do more than a unification? In my opinion, it would be bigger.
It would. Yeah.
So that's why I don't, and that's not being one side or the other. If Terrence Crawford was to be fighting Ugas, I would be just as happy because now I know that they're going to be facing for undisputed.
Right. Oh, that's a whole nother thing too. And what is the WBA? What do you think the WBA is going to do? If Bud actually fights Manny Pacquiao, what are they going to do with that? Because he's WBA champion on recess.
Well, but that's just a fancy dress in the saying he got stripped. Yeah. So he doesn't have the title, man. The only thing he can do when that happens, when you're a champion in recess, to get it back, you have first dibs in fighting. So if he was like to say today, I want to fight Ugas to get my title back, they would have to work it out. Unless, of course, Spence and Ugas already have something signed on contract. Yeah, I mean, if there ain't no other contract, he would be first dibs.
You basically stripped him already. And at the end of the day, the rules are the rules. You got to be active. You can't just go 2 years and out fighting. And it is what it is. The rules are always as much as I would love that fight to be unification. If they are going to fight each other, at the end of the day, you wasn't fighting for so long. Like, 2 years is a long time. You're not
But that would
fighting.
suck. Think about it, BoxingWave. That would suck. What if Spence and Ugas fight? Now we want the undisputed, and here comes Manny Pacquiao spoiling the whole egg. Because he can say, hey, I want my shot at the Super WBA back. Spence got to give it to him. Now we're not getting undisputed yet again. I hope he doesn't do that, but it's possible.
Well, I'm thinking, well, it really depends on the order of the fights, because if Crawford and Pacquiao fight and Pacquiao says, well, I want the WBA to make me fight for my title in this fight, I want this to be an undisputed fight, then it's like, damn, you just gave Ugas the title just to take it right back. Like, we're already dealing with, the sanction bodies, listen, my whole thing is just stick to the rules and stop making all these weird exceptions. Yes, I would have loved for Manny Pacquiao to keep his title and Ugas to win it the correct way. But if Manny doesn't want to fight him, or if Manny chooses to stay inactive, then it is what it is. That's part of the rules, man. You can't hold on to a title and not fight. As much as I would want that for Bud and for Manny, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I do want to undispute it, and hopefully at that point, if Spence is, or whoever wins that fight, whoever's holding the 3 titles at the end, and whoever's holding in the one other title, there really shouldn't be anything left but to face each other at that point. It really shouldn't.
Right. What I'm saying, if Spence beats Ugas, he will have the Super WBA.
Yeah.
That's the only way Manny can get it back will be to fight Spence. That's my point. He can't fight. Yeah. He can't fight Crawford and get it because Spence has it at that point. Or if Ugas wins, he would have it at that point.
Right.
So he still has the spoiler card in his hand to stop an undisputed.
Right.
I don't think he will, and I hope he don't, because dang, bro, the more they delay this, the worse it is for the boxing fans.
It is
probably not for them, but for us.
It is, and I am a little worried about Bud, and he's getting into his mid-30s now, and at some point, and people were saying this years ago, Spencer's just trying to age him out. It could be a factor. It could be, but I just want them to. I want to see them both fight while they're still at their best, and that's how I look at it. All right, so man, I'm gonna get ready to check up out of here, man.
I gotta get off because my phone blowing up anyway, man. I know you see me looking at it. God, man, I should have just left today, huh?
Yo, it's always great to have you here, man. Appreciate you coming and dropping your knowledge, and especially on the Puerto Rican community. I really appreciate that, man. And we'll be back at it soon.
Oh, no doubt, man. Appreciate you having me on, man. And your chat is always great as always, man. Much love to the chat as well.
All right. Later, bro.
Peace.
All right, guys. Yeah, so you heard I do have to head out. Hope you enjoyed the chat. If you guys are coming in a little late, I pretty much spoke on all of the last weekend's fights, the Triller card, the Tony Harrison fight, the Demetrius Andre, addressed that a little bit. Talked a little bit about the Mortal Kombat movie. If you guys want me to speak a little bit further, give a thorough review, maybe in a week or so after everyone's seen it, I could talk a spoiler review. Let me know in the comments. I'll do that, like I've done in the past with other movies. I spoke a little bit on Jamal Charlo and Mark Breland and Edgar Berlanga. I spoke on him and Navarrete against Christopher Diaz. I think this fight is a tough fight to really call, to be honest. I am rooting for Christopher Diaz. I mean, Navarrete is cool, but I am rooting for Christopher Diaz. But I can see this fight being one of those fights where it could be controversial decision. I think if the fight is close and if it goes to a decision, I think Navarrete is definitely going to get the win. He is the undefeated fighter here. But it should be a good fight because Diaz is not going to back down. He is the better boxer. He is pretty durable too. He has some pop. But it's all about Navarrete and the relentless pressure he brings. That's his ace. So I really don't know how it's going to go. How effective is Navarrete's power going to be at 126? Yes, he had one fight. there. He did win against a good opponent, but Christopher Diaz is a little bit more experienced than Ruben Villa was. All right, and should be a good fight. All right, so I'm not going to be able to cover the fight live, though, unfortunately, but I will do a aftermath post-fight review probably Sunday morning for you guys. All right, so make sure you subscribe again. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the like button. Hit that bell notification as well. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter at BoxingWave10, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.